Hi all, welcome back to Node.js tutorial course. I hope you all have watched my section 1 which gives introduction and setup of Node.js. If not, I have given link in the description box. Please do watch. Today I'm here to explain you all about architecture of Node.js framework and its feature. First, I would like to explain about main aspects of programming in Node.js is basically to understand the internal mechanism of the framework, right? Over time, these insights and the knowledge, right, in the way will help us to write code and drive our understanding on this framework and also will help us to optimize our application to provide a good speed and performance. The main aspect of Node.js is it's single-threaded event loop based for achieving the asynchronous behavior. So we will explore in greater depth in this video. Before I explain about Node.js architecture, let me walk you all through traditional multi-threading process model. So let me first explain how does this traditional multi-thread model works, right? So if you see here, each request is handled by a dedicated thread, right? So from the thread pool. So if no thread is available in the thread pool at any point of time, then the request waits until the next available thread is there. So here basically how it works is dedicated thread executes a particular request and does not return to the thread pool until it completes the execution and returns a response. So this is how the traditional multi-thread model works, which has some kind of disadvantages when it comes to the performance, right? So it will have to be the performance wise, it's not that great, right? So next I'm going to explain you how this Node.js single-threaded model works. Okay, as I told you, this is mainly the Node.js works on an event loop architecture. Correct. So here this is the architecture view of our Node.js server and operations or the request which comes from the users, right? So here the Node.js processes this user request differently when we compare to the traditional server model. Okay, so here Node.js runs in a single process and the application code runs in a single thread, and thereby it needs less resources than other platforms, right? Because it works a single thread and it's like it needs very less resources. Okay, so all the user requests to your application will be handled by a single thread, and all the input output operations or maybe a long running job is performed asynchronously for a request. Okay, so the single thread does not have to wait for the request to complete, and it is free to handle the next request. That is what the asynchronous concept comes into place, right? So it is like non-blocking basically. So one request comes and it can process the other request parallelly, right? So when asynchronous input output completes or then operation completes, then it processes the request further and send the responses via a callback mechanism. Okay, so an event loop is basically it's a watcher. Okay, it will catch all the events which is raised for an asynchronous job and executing a callback function when the job completes. So it has all the list of events, and as and when the operations are done, right, so it will execute a callback function as and when the jobs are completes. So internally, Node.js uses this libview uh, library for the event loop, which is in turn uses internal C++ thread pool to provide a asynchronous input and output operations. Okay, so here Node.js process model Basically, if you compare to the traditional model, right, it increases the performance and scalability of the application. So basically, if I have to say, this Node.js is not fit for an application which has a very high CPU intensive operations, like if you have to process an image, or if you have a heavy computation work, because it takes a time to process a request, and thereby it blocks the single thread, right? So that is one of the things which I have to highlight when it comes to the overview architecture of our Node.js. So basically, this is event loop, it's asynchronous, it's non-blocking. Okay, so as I explained here, right, so there are lots of requests coming in. So here, as you guys see, as and when the requests are coming in, right, so it will be pushed into the event queue, and the event loop, which is a single threaded, right? So the event loop will be keeping on looping these events, and as and when the jobs are complete, it will execute a callback function and send back the responses to the client. Okay, this is about the architecture of Node.js. So next, let's go to the features of Node.js, right? So as I told in the first section, its main big feature, it's an open source framework, right? So it's under MIT license. Okay, so basically, as you all know, MIT license is a free software license originated at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. Okay, and the next one is it uses JavaScript to build entire server side application. So it's basically a JavaScript, and whoever knows JavaScript can be a Node.js developer. Okay, the next one is it's basically, as I told you earlier, it is a lightweight framework, so which includes bare minimum modules, right? So the other modules can be added based on the need of the application. And as I told you, the architecture, it is asynchronous and event driven, right? So all APIs of Node.js library are asynchronous or non-blocking, right? So which means that Node.js base server never waits for an API to return data. So it will keep on moving to the next API after calling it, and based on the notification or a callback mechanism, right? It helps the cell server to get back the response from the previous call. So which actually helps to improve the performance of the application. Okay, so the next one is cross-platform from framework, so which basically can run on Windows, Mac, or Linux. Okay, the next one, the main feature is, as I told, it's very fast. It's built on the Google Chrome V8 JavaScript engine, and hence the performance wise, it's super fast. Okay, and the next one is single threaded, but it is actually highly scalable. So, uh, so which means, right, Node.js uses a single thread model with the event loop architecture, which we saw in the architecture slide, right? So which helps the server to respond in a non-blocking way and makes the server very highly scalable compared to the traditional server. Okay, so here the Node.js program can provide a service to a much larger number of requests compared to the traditional architectures or the servers, right? Okay, the last one but not the least is no buffering, right? So Node.js applications never buffer any data. So here the data or the outputs are provided in chunks. Okay, this is about the high level or the detailed features of our Node.js. So next, let me walk you guys through, as you guys are familiar on this Node.js, and how does it work, and its framework and its features, right? So let's like just see the list of the type of applications where we can use Node.js. Okay, so basically the Node.js is fit for these input output bound applications, and it's very much for the data streaming applications. Okay, and which meant is like where you have to stream a data, maybe it could be a from file, it could be a video, right? So it's help, right? It's very fast, right? Because it's all in chunks of data, so it will be very fast. That is why the Node.js is meant for such kind of applications. And data intensive real time, so when you want to have a real time views of the data, then this is the best option to go. And when you want to develop a JSON based applications or APIs, which needs a super fast performance, then it's good to go. And when you want a single page applications also, we can go with the Node.js. Okay, so now let's see where we can't use Node.js. I will ever have explained or given example in the earlier section, but the main the thing which we don't advise to use Node.js is for when we have a CPU intensive application or very heavy workload applications, right? So so they we usually don't prefer to use a Node.js applications. Okay. Okay, so now we are end of this section. So now you all have good idea about how Node.js framework works, its architecture and its features, and where all we can use the Node.js server, right? So in my next section, I would be starting with a brief about V8 engine, and we'll kickstart with our first sample Node.js application. Okay, thank you for watching, guys, and if you like my session, please like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel. See you in next session. Thank you.